The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags, midway past the midway point, really, of the month of December. Hope you're doing well, and whatever your plans are as we approach the Christmas holiday, you've got everything set and ready to go. If not, it might be panic time. Just saying.
A little bit.
I'm here, Steve West, Matt Nicholson there. Got producer Molly in the background. Producer John will be helping out as well. We appreciate all of their efforts, and plenty to get to here. We do have a big show this weekend. We're not going to do one between Christmas and New Year's. We're going to take that weekend off, but we do have a big show this weekend. Couple of things we're working on there. Formula One's got a bold statement for next year's car. Formula E seems to think that they've got something that might actually rival their big brother Formula One.
Maybe. Maybe.
We'll talk about that. Plus, there's still aftermath from this lawsuit. I was really hoping we could put that in our rearview mirror, but Denny Hamlin just, can't stop squawking. So he's going to be the subject of what we're going to be talking about some this weekend as well. So that and a whole lot more. Scheduling in Formula One is going to get interesting over the next few years. It looks like we're picking up pieces and moving them around. Some of them will come off the board and some new ones will come on the board. It's going to be real interesting times over the next couple of years, as Formula One is definitely something that a lot of countries want to be able to host. They can only have 24 races in a year. We'll explain that all in the big show. That's Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Go on to YouTube, search CRN Live. You can find it there. Now, let's get to what we want to talk about today. We did get one battle out of the way. The lawsuit's over. It's done. Thank God. Settled. They're over. We'll deal with the aftermath of that, like I said, this coming Saturday. Now we got another battle going on. This one's not court, mind you. This one is actually going to be settled kind of on the track. And I say kind of because these two don't go head to head. There was a chance where there might be a little bit of crossover. If you watched or listened to the big show this past weekend, you might have heard us talking about a fairly interesting sale. The IHRA, International Hot Rod Association, went out and they've been on a buying spree of late. How many racetracks do we think that they've bought in the past year or so? 10, 11?
Wanting to stay 10 or 11, yeah.
With the potential agreements for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 more?
Possibly.
You want to talk about a buying spree. One of those tracks turned out to be Maple Grove Raceway in Pennsylvania. There's the announcement right there. And you think to yourself, okay, they've been on a buying spree. They bought Maple Grove Raceway in Pennsylvania. What's the big deal? This track right here hosts the NHRA's first race in what they call the Countdown to the Championship. 6-race slate of races where the top 10 are really given a big magnifying glass put on them. And let's see who's going to be able to make that run through those 10 races and claim the championship of Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Motorcycle. These guys let them off. That was huge news.
Yeah, you could say that was a substantial purchase that Daryl Cuddle and his group made, snatching one of NHRA's heritage tracks, I guess you could say.
That's a good word for it. Because
snatching it away from them.
I have to admit, I haven't looked to see how many years they've hosted it, but they've hosted the NHRA for a good while.
Quite a while.
Good while. So to pull that, we were thinking, shot across the bow of the NHRA? And we were kind of wondering what the NHRA might do in response to that. And the first thought was maybe it's too late for them to be able to make an adjustment. So now they have to run at a track that the IHRA owns. Turns out no. Just yesterday, we're recording this on Tuesday, the 16th of December. Just yesterday, they came up with the announcement of they're moving the race out of Maple Grove Raceway. They're going to take it to Michigan. US 131 is the new facility, which has been given now NHRA top flight capability, or whatever you want to call it. And now they're going there. Great Lakes region. First time ever. I think that certainly they've done it for the countdown to the championship. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
First time ever in Michigan, period.
That's kind of what I was thinking. First time ever in Michigan. So to me, this does say shots fired. This is what the NHRA did in response. They ran away.
It's what it seems like, because they just basically went to somewhere that, well, let me backtrack and say that, because IHRA has their new place in Milan, Michigan. So they went to Michigan too. So maybe this is going to be, if you go in my backyard, I'm going to walk in your backyard too. I don't know. But this, if we ever say anything about one series being a direct competition to the other, here you go.
Yeah.
Prime, clear, classic example.
Yeah, this is definitely very, very similar rides going up against each other in look, in sound, and in everything that they're going on. If you watch an IHRA Top Fuel race and you watch an NHRA Top Fuel race, other than the fact that the cars have different sponsors, you wouldn't be able to really tell much of a difference between the two.
Nope.
Probably wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference between the funny car division either.
Nope.
Just to be blunt. Now, here's the interesting part of this. NHRA's been the king for 75 years, really, if you want to get right down to it. The National Hot Rod Association has been the king of drag racing in the United States of America, I could dare say North America, since really they began, and that was 75 years ago. The IHRA has been in and then kind of out. And I remember the IHRA from when I was a kid, and then all of a sudden you kind of didn't hear about them. They just all but disappeared in the 1990s and the 2000s and into the 2010s. So for 30, 40 years, they may have been operating, but nobody really heard from them.
Yeah, they were quiet.
Too quiet. Now you get this guy, Daryl Cuttle, and we've talked about him on the big show. You mentioned the fact that you found out where he's kind of gotten his money to be able to go out and do all the stuff that he's been doing.
To what I've seen and read, he does real estate work and stuff with none other than Elon Musk. So, yeah.
That would do it.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that would do it. So, yeah, he's not hurting for money. He goes out, he basically buys the IHRA, and within a year, he's either bought or has agreements to buy somewhere between 10 and 15 tracks that we can tell, and there may be more. He has gotten under his control the IHRA in New Zealand and Australia. What did we found out Aruba, which that didn't get a whole lot of press when it was initially done, but now apparently that's under Daryl Cuttle's control as well. He is starting up a stock car series, which is, as we've talked about here on this podcast and on the big show, probably more late models, maybe more Cars Tour than anything else, but still, he's starting up a stock car series.
Yep.
He bought F1 Powerboating.
Spare no expense.
The man has been on a massive buying spree, making the IHRA relevant again. And again, you go back to this point of him going out and buying Maple Grove Raceway, which has been an NHRA stalwart track. That's a massive shot across the bow to the NHRA, if you ask me. And Matt, feel free to disagree or agree as you will, but this is a major shot across the bow to the NHRA saying, hey, listen, we're here now, and whatever happened in the past, we're done with that. We're going to be here to stay, and we're going to become a player.
They are definitely expanding at a very, very rapid rate, and getting some of these facilities that they're getting and bringing some of these facilities back to life. It's really, really neat to see, because, considering I've been there before with revitalizing the entire facility at Memphis. And supposedly I saw this morning, I saw that there was a video from a racer that was based out of Memphis. And he said he learned to his knowledge that the work is going to be starting on Memphis, revitalizing Memphis within weeks, if not days. So he's sparing no expense. And Memphis is going to take a lot of work to get back underneath it.
Yeah.
But when it does, That's a diamond laying in the dust.
And for another couple of tracks that are related to that around here, you talk about Memphis, which is from our base here in Birmingham, 2.5, 3 hour drive tops.
To that track facility is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
There you go. About an hour and a half tops, maybe even less. South of us is Montgomery. That's right. He's got an agreement to buy that. And the last time I was on the grounds at Montgomery, yeah, it needed some tender loving care. It needed some help. But I don't think it's going to be a major renovation to get Montgomery Dragway up to snuff and really put on a good show and really have good amenities for the fans. And then one of the other ones was Atlanta Dragway. And if that sounds familiar and seems like the NHRA might have run there in the past, you might have heard that. You're correct. As of just a couple of years ago, the NHRA was running at Atlanta Dragway, which is technically not in Atlanta, but that's not the point. I mean, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Echo Park Speedway, whatever you want to call it, it's not in Atlanta either. Not the point. The point is that the NHRA had been running at Atlanta Dragway for many, many years. And then they just decided to go away. And what happens? Daryl Cuttle and his IHRA come in and they grab it. And they're going to do a little bit of upgrading to it, just like they're going to do to Montgomery or to Memphis or to wherever they're going. Sometimes it's a little more than minor upgrades, but still, they're going to go in, they're going to revitalize these facilities, and they're going to go racing there. And that means great things if you are a drag racer, because now you have an option. It's not just where the NHRA goes. And once the NHRA left Atlanta, you didn't really have much in the southeastern part of the United States of America. All you had was Gainesville with the Gator Nationals and Charlotte with ZMAX. That was about it.
And then Bristol came along.
That's true. Bristol, Thunder Valley Dragway. Now you get those three, and you get everything that the IHRA is doing. This is, I might actually go so far as to say, this isn't just a shot across a shot across the bow. They're taking aim at him.
Direct aim. And if you got to give it a grade of how they're taking direct aim, they're a solid A right now because they're going after it. They're sparing no expense.
Now, I'll say this, and we said this in response to something that we were talking about a few weeks ago here on the podcast, that if I had a radio station and, say, producer Molly decided to come in and say she could do it better than I can, she's more than welcome to do that. Obviously, it's free country. You can do that. How do I react? And that's the big question. As a radio station, that's one thing. I can kind of let her go and do her own thing. If I feel like I'm doing it better, I'm just going to make sure that we continue that course, feel like I'm doing things better than what she's going to do them. But if she actually is able to follow up on her promise, and she is able to do it better than I am, I do have to react. And the NHRA, I think, is now in that position. The NHRA for a long time could look at the IHRA and they were just that little bug in the corner and they really didn't need to worry about them. They ain't a bug anymore sitting in the corner. They mean something. They're out there fighting. And if you looked, I want to say over the last, 3, maybe 4 events that the IHRA ran in the season just ended, you actually could find a few NHRA drivers that were running it.
Oh, quite a few of them dropped down. A few.
Lex June, Sean Reed were 2 that I can think of right offhand.
Dale Worsham, Spencer Massey, Doug Foley. Those are just a handful of the name, just a handful right offhand that do run NHRA that step back down that has pretty solid success. So,
and I'll state this, I'm not so sure that it's that much of a step down. It might be just stepping over.
Pretty much.
And that says something. When you really get right down to the nitty-gritty of it, and these drivers are stepping over to the IHRA and saying that, no, we don't feel like it's a step down. This is an opportunity for us to kind of shake some rust off. Sean Reed was coming back from a pretty major injury. And what did he do to do a warm-up for the last couple of events in the countdown to the championship? He ran. over in the IHRA. Just got that feel back. Del Worsham, Lex June, like he was saying, these guys have been heritage NHRA racers. And now they're looking at the IHRA and going, you know what? We can race over there. Absolutely. It's just more of an opportunity for us to get out onto the track, figure out what's going on, get better, and start winning races potentially, not only in one, but in both.
Yep. No doubt. No doubt.
So I don't think the NHRA, even at 75 years old, the heritage drag racing operation in North America, you cannot anymore ignore the IHRA.
Nope, not at all.
I do wonder whether or not this move to US 131 is going to make that big of a difference for you. And like Matt said, maybe it is a situation where you said, hey, you got a couple of Michigan tracks, we'll go in and run in your backyard for the countdown to the championship. Sure. Maybe it is that. And if it is, great. But is that the only reaction? Time will tell.
Yep.
This is going to be a fun one because, again, we have been looking for something like this. We can remember the days of Dale Earnhardt versus Jeff Gordon, or you might even go back further and go Dale Earnhardt versus Darrell Waltrip, or we all remember the 1979 Daytona. Even if you weren't alive then, you've probably seen the highlights of it. Bobby and Donnie Allison versus Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty versus David Pearson. Heck, I'll go so far as to say some of the major rivalries in all of sports. Red Sox, Yankees, Alabama, Auburn, Celtics, Lakers, Michigan, Ohio State. We could go on and on. There are rivalries all over the place. Maybe, just maybe, we've got one now in the racing world. Strangely enough, it's in drag racing. Who would have thought that coming? This could be a lot of fun. If you're a drag race fan, now's a golden time for you.
Yep.
We'll be keeping an eye on it. We started covering the IHRA for a reason because I started thinking when they started doing what they were doing that this might actually be big things.
Yeah, and looking at next year, it's going to explode.
Yeah, it has not disappointed so far. So get your popcorn, get your beverage of choice ready, sit back, relax, and get ready to watch some really, really good drag racing in both the NHRA and the IHRA because I don't think Darrell Cuddle's in this for the short term and going to blow a whole lot of money just to go running away from it. He's in it, and I think he's proving that he's in it for the long haul, and he wants to take the NHRA on.
Yep.
You wanted a rivalry. It might not have been what you were expecting, but it's what you're going to get. NHRA versus IHRA. Ding, ding, baby. Let's get it on. Let's see what happens come 2026. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much to producer John and to producer Molly for everything that they do for us here. I think we'll have one more cross flags before the end of this year. Don't worry about it. We'll be ready to go. Our TVs in the background aren't, but don't worry. We're not worried about that because 2026 will be just as good, and we're going to be here for it. But one more cross flags in 2025. Be here for it next week. And, of course, the big show this Saturday coming up 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Just go on to CRN Live on YouTube. Go on to YouTube, search CRN Live. And if you haven't, we humbly ask that you subscribe. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you this Saturday.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.